We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button, share the video if you want to support this college football's Rebel Outpost with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Just hit that dollar sign where you make a comment, and I'll get to Super Chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome, everybody, into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. This live show on a Tuesday, late afternoon, early evening, is basically going to be Open Line Tuesday, the day after an incredible national championship game, the Indiana Hoosiers versus the Miami Hurricanes. Absolutely sensational. We did a watch party. It was just... The chat room was just going wild. I was going wild. By the way, I did not let you all know this, but when we were doing the watch party last night, our furnace wasn't working. In fact, we got a new one installed this morning. So I was absolutely freezing. I had my Minnesota Golden Gopher sweatshirt on, and I was hoodie, and I was unbelievable. I did not say a word about it. I just did my job, but I was absolutely a frozen icicle. And then I had to go pick up the little general at her work and come back. It is awfully cold here in Minnesota, and it's not just Minnesota that is cold.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray.
Let's shove that music out for at least a few months before we make our picks in spring football games, if we get teams going against each other, which I am hoping. Anyways, that's the story for another day. PATC Einsteins finished 92 and 94. The fat guy from Minnesota, Greg the Cooler, I finished 92 and 94. We did not quite make it. We both took Indiana minus 8.5. They won by 6. Enough about that. Let's get that out of the way. An incredible football game last night. I'm so thankful that so many people joined us. I've gotten so many comments during the day today. It was such a fantastic football game. Unbelievable. We've got a couple super chats. Kicking off is John Teal. My goodness. John Teal, last team to go 16-0 was Yale in 1894. So Indiana, the first team in modern college football era to go 16-0. Thank you for the $2 holler, John Teal. I very much appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And we got a big old super chat from the cowboy himself. MBM for space heating in the studio. Congrats to all the Indy fans. What a season. You all deserve this. Indiana Hoosiers, congratulations. And as I said last night, congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. Congratulations to the Miami Hurricanes. A spectacular football season for the Miami Hurricanes. Unbelievable. And if you noticed, Indiana, weren't they the 10th seed? Were they not the 10th seed? I don't quite remember. 2 years ago, and they had a game against Notre Dame and they lost and they come back. Miami was the 10th seed this year. Do you think Miami's going to make a run next year? Now, a lot determines on the Darian Mensah situation. Duke has sued Darian Mensah, so please give me a phone call and let me know what you think about that story. There's a lot of news reports today going back and forth. It sounds like there is a court hearing case February 2nd, I believe, but Mensah's attorneys are trying to move it up a little bit earlier than that. But anyways, MBM, you are exactly correct, my friend. Congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. What a season. And last year they had an unbelievable season. And they went above beyond that. Incredible. Unbelievable. That game, the Mendoza lunch, that is going to go down. That statue is going to have When they put Fernando Mendoza's statue outside of Bloomington Stadium in Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana Memorial Stadium, they're going to have that statue, and it's going to be that lunge. It's going to be that lunge over the goal line. It has to be. It has to be. What an unbelievable. And then Miami comes back. They score a touchdown. They force a field goal. They had a chance to win. I'm not sure what happened on that last play. I don't know if Carson Beck underthrew it. I don't know if the receiver read the defense wrong. If there was some miscommunication going on. Interception, Indiana. Absolutely incredible. Thank you, MBM. I appreciate it. John Teal, Super Chat. When Yale did that, Jack the Ripper was in London. Wow. Thank you for the $2 holler, John Teal. Very much appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. John Grove, whether it's 16 or 24 teams, one thing is clear. Anybody has a given chance. Miami was the perfect example of that. I know you don't want to listen to me talk about the college football playoff format all night tonight. I'm not going to do it. A lot of you are sick and tired of me banging the drums for the field army of 24. But I'm going to say this. A lot of people, David Ubin, I don't know how to say his last name, other reporters, other pundits out there, keep using the Iowa Hawkeyes as an example of why we should not go to a 2014 playoffs. Let me show you. Let me show you real quick. And there's other examples that you can use. This is my post today. Pundits keep pointing to 2025 Iowa Hawkeyes as a good example of college football should not think about going to a 24-team college football playoff. Myself, I keep pointing to the 2025 Iowa Hawkeyes as one of the prime examples in this day and age of college football. We should move to a 24-team college football playoff. Out of this whole group, I'm the weird one? That is my question. Getting back to John Grove's comments. This is how I'm looking at it. Everybody says, Greg. Okay, you made your point. You made your point, Greg. 12 teams is not enough. But 16 is. 16 is enough because there's not going to be any team outside the 16 that can possibly win the national championship. Come on, Greg. The talent is not that diluted. It is not that spread out. Well, I got two comments about that. Number one, I don't trust anybody. I don't trust any committee. Not how everything's set up. I don't trust any committee to be able to tell me, Greg, this is the best 16. This is the best 16. I tell you what, I will feel more comfortable in getting the best 16 teams in the playoffs if we go to a playoff of 20 teams, of 22 teams. It just so happens that 24 is a beautiful number and it works. It works. So I want to go above the 16 number to make sure we can get those supposedly only 16 teams that can make a run at the national championship. That's number one. Number two, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and I said this, they were a kick-ass team at the end of the year. They were. Did you see that Indiana Hoosier team that blew out Alabama, that blew out Oregon? That Indiana-Iowa game was fantastic It was close. It was a nail biter. Iowa, for me, is a great example of why we should go to 24. And other pundits are using Iowa as an example not to go to. So I don't know. Again, it seems like myself and others, we're two ships passing in the night. Expanded playoff means more blowouts. And 3 of 5 lost teams getting in, shaking my head. RB Media, thanks for coming on in. I'm not offended by blowouts. I'm not offended by blowouts. Why would I be offended by blowouts? We get blowouts in playoffs all over the place. We get a blowout championship game when we had a 4-team playoff. NBA blowout. Sweeps in the NBA. Playoff blowout. We get blowouts. Why isn't college football, do we have to be so pure that we cannot stand a blowout in the playoffs? I don't truly get it. Especially in the backdrop of this. There is no design of any college football playoff that you can make that takes away the possibility of a blowout, of multiple blowouts. So that argument doesn't work for me. It works for others. The playoffs should be designed, number one, to create a legitimate national champion. You know what? An 8-team college football playoff would not have done that this year. A 4-team college football playoff would not have done it this year. Number two, the college football playoffs, and I said I would not get up on my soapbox tonight, but here we are. This is Open Line Friday. You're going to get the phone. You're going to be on the phones real soon here, and you're going to let me have it. The playoffs should be designed to create the most value in the regular season. 12 was a lot better than 8. 16 is going to be better than 12. And I don't think 24 hits the laws of diminishing return. Many of you do believe that, but I don't. I've been looking this whole season. I was imagining, I was pretending that the top 24 teams were going to make the playoffs. I was pretending this. Plus with automatic qualifiers in the Power 4 conferences. Potential playing games during the weekend of conference championship games. All these different types of routes that we could take. It would not diminish the regular season, in my opinion. Why is that? Well, you have more teams qualifying. Maybe that's not a good thing. Okay, all right. But in the playoff of 24, you have 3 different tiers of incentive. 1 through 8 gets a first round bye and a second round home game. 9 versus 16 get a first round home game on campus. 17 through 24, you got into the playoffs. Hardly anything would be decided in the last month of the season, the last 3 weeks of the season, the last 2 weeks of the season, the last week of the season. I think the regular season would even explode with more value. Now, I get it. There's a certain limit to that. I think 24 is the perfect number. You've got 16 different universities, athletic departments, communities, local businesses that are going to have a playoff game either in the first round or the second round. That is huge. And if you're going to come at me with this 16-team playoff, with 16 versus 13, 14 versus 15, and the top 2 seeds get a double bye, that is ridiculous. Give me the 24, fight for the 24, army of 24. Okay. I I appreciate the super chats, guys. Again, as always, super chats supersede the other comments. MBM, cheering for a conference is a coattail riding cop-out. You know, if you watched our live show last night, I did not make any comments on Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten, ACC, ACC. I might have read a comment in the comment section, but last night was Indiana versus Miami. The Indiana story, the Miami story. It was not a Big Ten story versus ACC story. Not last night. Now, a lot of people are talking about this shift in the balance of power, as we used up on the title screen here. And I would have to completely agree. And it has to be talked about. I don't think last night was the appropriate time to talk about it. I've been talking about it for months, as you all know. We've had a lot of beautiful Southeastern Conference fans of Southeastern Conference teams in the chat room telling me, Greg, the Southeastern Conference is still different when you watch a game and everything. And I say to them, it is different. Overall, it's still the best environment in college football. Incredible fan bases, incredible passion. But the playing on the football field, nah. It ain't like it was before, and we all know the reasons why. NIL, portal, talent being spread out, everybody spending money. I listened to Paul Feinbaum today. And again, I'm gonna go through some of your comments. Again, super chats supersede, but I'm gonna go through a handful of them before we get to your phone calls. Paul Feinbaum talked about it today. He said the SEC is in crisis. Those were his words. Those would not be my words. I don't believe the Southeastern Conference is in crisis. I think they got to now rise up, belly up to the bar, right? Especially, and they said it on the Paul Feinbaum. He said it. His host, his other co-host said it, and I agree with them. Especially Texas. Especially Texas A&M. And especially LSU. I think they got to rise up, meet Georgia at the top, and try to win the national championship, try to have a Southeastern Conference, break this streak of the Big Ten. Because they got the resources. Texas and Texas A&M definitely have the resources. LSU seems to have the resources the way they're spending. You do not have to be a top resource athletic department football program to win the national championship. As Kirk Cinetti said last night, come on, we're not one of the top NIL teams. And they're not. But with great coaching, great talent evaluation, Indiana was able to do it. They were able to win the national championship. But having the resources gives you a much wider pathway to winning the national championship. I happen to believe the Southeastern Conference is not in crisis. The Southeastern Conference is much wealthier than a lot of people want to give them credit for. I get it. There's only 2 billionaires in Alabama. And they're both Auburn supporters. I get it. But there is still money. The passion Alabama fans are still going to unload whatever they got towards Alabama, and players want to play for Alabama. The great talent down there in the southeastern part of the country, they want to play for Alabama. They want to play for Tennessee. They want to play for Florida. I don't believe the Southeastern Conference is in crisis. However, and that is why we're talking about it tonight, I do believe there's a shift in balance of power. And it's been going on for a while. And I think that shift in balance of power, I think it comes in a couple of different ways. When the commissioners are meeting, Tony Petitti, he sees what's happening. I think Sankey sees what's happening. Petitti sees what's happening. The athletic directors see what's happening. They know that the Big Ten has the potential, very good potential, at the conference getting bigger, stronger, with even more money, with even more power, with gaining more markets and all of that. I happen to think the Southeastern Conference blew it when they were in that advisory group with the Big Ten, and 13 of the 16 athletic directors agreed with the Big Ten on doing the 4-4-2-2-1-3 playoff format. The Big Ten has issues. There's a fracture in the conference. We'll see what happens with Michigan's new president. A definite fracture in the conference. Number two, it's a large conference, 18 schools, and they want to grow. That's a challenge. There's also one big issue that the Big Ten has that the Southeastern Conference doesn't have. But the Southeastern Conference has an issue on their hands that the Big Ten doesn't have. The Big Ten's issue, they still have this issue of simple demographics. It's been helped when they went into Maryland and New Jersey. It helped when they went into the state of California. It helped. But there is a great thirst of the Big Ten to get into the southeastern part of this country. Purely demographic reasons. Get into markets, get into locations that are growing in population. The Big Ten has known this for a long time. Jim Delaney said the Big Ten needed to become a 2-region conference. Now they're a 3-region conference, and they're going to have to become a 4-region conference. So the Big Ten still has work to do. But because of this emergence of the new college football world, college sports world, in which you're paying players, you've got these universities with a whole lot of money, big alumni bases, all these billionaires all over the place, Fortune 500 companies all over the place. The Big Ten is now more in position. They don't have a 2-7 offsuit down low when it comes to potentially attracting 2 or 4 Southeastern Conference universities. What the Big Ten has shown, and this is why there's a balance in power. When the Big Ten became a more of a national conference, when the Big Ten went to the West Coast, it could have went pear-shaped on them. The perception could have went pear-shaped on them. Right? If the Big Ten would have played lousy football in the last 2 years, people would be taking the shovels out and digging a hole and stuffing the Big Ten in that hole. It would be negative recruiting. It would be negativity all over ESPN. It would be everywhere. But it did not happen. So now the Big Ten is saying, look, well, come on. Oregon won a Big Ten championship in their first year in the Big Ten. That travel did not really slow them up. The Big Ten has won 3 national championships in a row. They've won a bunch of bowl games, a bunch of playoff games. They're recruiting at the highest rate. More investment money than ever. So, the national construction of the Big Ten is receiving its best PR because of its success. So the difficulties that the Big Ten has had trying to lure some of these big market, big southeastern part of the country universities that are big in research, the difficulties of luring those type of schools, those difficulties are most likely fading away. So that is why I'm talking about the shift in balance of power. It's almost like it's an avalanche. It's building and building and building. The Big Ten looked strongly at public, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, public financing, the UC investment, public capital. They wanted to infuse more cash into the conference. The richest conference in the nation, they wanted to put more money in there and then create the for-profit entity of the Big Ten Enterprises. And by the way, they're still working on the for-profit entity Big Ten Enterprises. They're still working on that concept, even though the USC investment deal is dead. But that is Tony Petitti. He's looking at more money, more investment, and betting on themselves to modernize the conference. And Tony Petitti wants a 2014 playoff. He wants more teams. He wants the regular season to be worth more for his conference and other conferences the later into the season, because they think they're going to make even more money from their 2, 3, possibly 4th network, a big streaming partner coming on next. Petitti wants to enlarge everything. He doesn't want to shrink it down. And by the way, the Southeastern Conference, in their own way, wants to do the same thing. In their own way. In a different way. The Southeastern Conference does not have a demographics issue. No way. Although they do have a student apocalypse going on. Not as severe, but they still have one going on. But they don't have a demographics issue. But they do have a market issue. They have a footprint issue. They want to bring in markets that has the money, the disposable income, that will buy those new cars. So the national advertisers feel great about advertising during SEC content. They want to bring on markets that have that disposable income that increases the footprint, that increases the brand of the Southeastern Conference, that delivers a more diversified student population, and that is the state of North Carolina and Virginia. And plus possibly a couple of other universities like Florida State, Clemson. Who knows? We're going to find out. So the Southeastern Conference has a different issue than the Big Ten. They both have issues. But the shift in the balance of power it's really apparent. Everybody knows that it happened. Paul Feinbaum talked about it all day today. It's happened. And this is why Tony Petitti, will he really bend the knee? He put out a compromise when it came to the college football playoffs. He said, we'll go to 16, but we got to get a commitment in writing, because after that advisory group with the SEC, he don't trust nobody. We got to get it in writing. We'll go to 16 for the next couple of years, possibly 3 years, but then we're going to 24. That's what Tony Petitti wants. And Greg Sankey's holding out as of this hour. Friday is the deadline. Friday is the deadline. We got a super chat. Ricky Tungate, congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Hoosier. Thank you for your generosity throughout the year. We did it, Greg. You sure did it. Indiana Hoosiers are your Big Ten champions, your Rose Bowl champions, I don't know, your Peach Bowl champion, what I don't even remember anymore. You've won everything, and you're the national champion, the Heisman Trophy winner. Kirk Cinetti's going to be the coach of the year, obviously. My goodness. Congratulations, Indiana Hoosiers. Thank you for the $10 holler. I don't know what Kirk Cinetti can do next year for an encore. They're going to be pretty competitive next year. They're going to win more games than they lose next year. I don't know. I'm not going to say they can't make another run like that, but it's going to be a challenge. I'm not looking forward to the Gopher Hoosier game, but I think Josh Hoover is one hell of a quarterback. Man, it's going to be fun. Indiana, congratulations. Unbelievable. Congratulations. The other Gygax. Member for 23 months. Feinbaum is on TV. Didn't he move? I don't know. Maybe he's not on TV, but I've seen a bunch of clips of him talking today. That's what I meant. Thank you, other Gygax. Member for 23 months. Holy smokes. You are officially knighted, Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Gygax. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Feinbaum. Man, he was honest today. He said the Southeastern Conference is in crisis. Do you all believe that the Southeastern Conference is in crisis? I don't. I don't even think they're close to being in crisis. Next year, if you look at the Southeastern Conference, the teams that could win the national championship, again, I'm going to be a sucker for Texas. I predicted Texas to win it this year, and I might be picking them to win it next year. So, it's not in my way too early picks, which is going to be, I'm going to be producing them later this week, I believe. There's a very good chance I'm going to have Texas number 1, number 2, or number 3. I'm going to have the Buckeyes number 1, number 2, or number 3. Texas and the Buckeyes, they're going to be both up there in the top 3. Thank you, the other Gygax. Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so very much. All right, let's go through a couple of these comments, and then we're going to go to your phone calls. Hummus Hero is in the house. Our cellar dwellers can beat your argument. I don't even know if that's true. I don't. Maybe it is. And if that's true, that might change as well. Right? We'll see. We'll find out. Son of Sarah, Texas and Texas A&M will likely be the top schools in the SEC for the foreseeable future. Rich Austin is in the house. Big Ten has moved ahead of the Southeastern Conference. Go Black 45. I concur. LSU, Florida, Tennessee, A&M, Auburn have to step up and be all in every year. Connected WWW. Crazy thing is, Stanford or Northwestern start spending money, it can get bad for all of us. Yes and no. You know, I've had quite a few conversations over the last few months on Northwestern with people in the industry, and the conversation always goes like this. Northwestern's got money. They're building an $800, $900 million football stadium. It's going to seat 35,000. It's going to be fantastic. The viewing, the seats are going to be incredible. There's going to be no debt whatsoever. Northwestern has the money to go in NIL and all that. But there's a limit to what Northwestern can do because, and they're not going to change according to what I've been told, but Northwestern being able to get into the transfer portal and luring players. Sure, players are going to go for more money, but you've got to qualify. It's tough to get into Northwestern. They don't lower their standards. They haven't been. Same thing with Minnesota, by the way. There's a certain, it's a more of a challenge. And same thing with Stanford. So Stanford, Northwestern, they got all this money, but they're not interested in cutting corners. Now, Notre Dame used to be the same way, but they have sort of lowered. They've made it more easy to apply, to go into the portal and go after talent. Maybe Northwestern's going to change it up. Maybe. Let's see here. The Big Lubbock, Texas Tech will win the Natty next year. BYU playing Notre Dame sometime in October is a huge game for us. Andrew Luck is trying to get people to open up the wallets. They have a lot of cash at Stanford. Go Black 45, the Southeastern Conference has made poor hiring decisions for head coaches. Sometimes you just have to get rid of both at one time and then work out from there. I happen to love John Summerall. So I think Florida has a chance. And of course, Lane Kiffin, you know what he can do. He's at LSU. I think that's a big improvement. Karan Shakar, I think college football is in crisis, to be honest. Okay, let's open up the phone lines. We are opening up the phone lines. Here we go. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Let me show you the results, the statistics of the national championship game last night. We did a watch party. Carson Beck, 19 of 32, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Fletcher, 112 yards. We'll get back to that later.
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours.
I'm wondering, what a great game.
Yeah.
Absolute great game. Great season. What a great season.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Yes.
I'm beginning to think when the SEC agreed to go to 9 conference games,
Yeah.
didn't they get something for doing that?
They got more money from ESPN.
They got more money from ESPN. I'm not sure they're not I think when they did that, they thought, oh, we'll be going to 16.
Yeah, I can, yep.
I think they thought, yeah, we can do this because we're going to 16. But now that they're facing 12, and they're like everyone else, knocking each other out 9 games in conference. I think they're having second thoughts.
Yep. Yeah, oh boy. You might be right, but they do, yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is that the Southeastern Conference knows that the Big Ten really, 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 really wants to expand the playoffs, and they want to do it now. And they've known that because these guys were in this advisory group together. They had a couple big meetings.
Yep.
So
everything you say is right. Everything you say is right. And like this year, the Big Ten only got 3 in. But the ones they didn't get in weren't bad schools. Yeah. And the SEC is gonna. That's what's gonna happen to the SEC next year. They'll get 3 schools in, but they might not get 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it'll really hit them between the eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's high stakes right now, and the deadline is Friday. High stakes, Rick.
Did you see the top 20 AP top 25 that came out today?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
No, when you're looking at 24 teams, that would include Michigan at number 21.
Yep.
USC at number 20. And
Iowa.
that number 17 team.
Yeah, and they barely lost to Indiana. It was a really good game. Yeah.
And Villanova at 15.
Villanova?
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I got my V's mixed up.
Yeah. I don't know why Vanderbilt's ahead of Iowa.
Because they have one more win.
I mean, Iowa just beat and everybody, almost all the guys played on both teams.
Vanderbilt's 10-3. Iowa's 9-4.
Yeah,
it's
but I don't know. I watched that Iowa Vanderbilt bowl game, and I'm like, I think I would take Iowa straight up if they played again.
Well, yeah, but USC is number 20 at 9-4, and Iowa 17 at 9-4.
Yeah.
So how do you justify that after USC beat them?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Thanks
got
for
it,
the
buddy.
call.
Appreciate it. Great call, Rick. What's going on here? What is going on?
Call from
Patron.
Patron, thanks for calling. Can you hold on for a moment, please?
Of course.
I appreciate it. I just want to get to a couple of comments here. Coy, did you see that the Big Ten is releasing the football schedule January 27th? Yes, I did. And thanks for reminding me, Coy. Next Tuesday, January 27th, the Big Ten is releasing their football schedule. So I am very nervous about that. As a Golden Gopher fan, that Big Ten conference schedule is a beast, and I don't want those really tough teams at the beginning of the season. So I'm really nervous. And one more comment. The Almighty, I hope you're doing good, sir, after your surgery. Did that super safety leave Minnesota, the one who wore number 3? Yeah. Corey Perch is with the Oregon Ducks. He was a super safety in his freshman season. In his sophomore season, he was second in the Big Ten in missed tackles and first in the secondary missed tackles. So hopefully he can regain his freshman form for the Oregon Ducks. Patron, thank you for calling. The floor is yours.
How's it going, Greg?
Doing good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Greg, so one of the things I was going to sort of say, this like concept is, Rick had just kind of mentioned it, right? Is the SEC in trouble because they're not like winning the championships, or are they not competitive in the playoffs anymore? But, Greg, I think, maybe these decision makers are kind of looking at a different metric to evaluate success.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, the Big Ten for like over a decade, wasn't getting to the championship game, yet their valuation improved. They remained the richest conference in college football.
Yeah.
And, look at an NFL team. The Dallas Cowboys haven't won a championship since the 90s, and they're the richest franchise in the world.
Yeah.
So, I don't know necessarily these decision makers like Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, if they necessarily like obsess over playoff performance and stuff like that, as like we might do as fans, with regards to like the valuation and really the money that's at stake. And kind of, Greg, I kind of also think that, I was thinking about this. I kind of think that the SEC most likely will go forward with sort of the breakaway here. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing if the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12, I do think there'll be three conferences, if they kind of break away. And one of the things that will allow is for all of them to sort of provide the rules that they need for stability and clarity to make long-term decisions and to sort of grow as conferences and institutions. And I actually think it's better for the sport in a way. And, the acceptance with that comes that, it's really not a national sport. Historically it was a regional sport. I mean, I know I still, when I think of Big Ten, I think of Midwestern football, which now it's they have ambition to be they are a coast-to-coast conference now. But, I thought one of these sort of like trial runs of this was actually during COVID, when each league was kind of in a silo. They played only conference schedules. They were responsible for handling their own protocols with the quarantine and the testing and stuff like that. And, within each conference, they all kind of had to respect the same rules. Like, I don't know if you remember when, I think it was Scott Frost in Nebraska who tried to sneak in those extra practices.
Yeah.
So like, it goes to show that, you have to have internal policing. You have to be able to respect the rules within your conference. It kind of reminds me of like when you mentioned, you play pickup basketball. It's a lot easier to just play with like your friends that you've been playing with for a long time, because you guys sort of like have that respect and, you kind of know the rules. You don't need outside enforcement. And I mean, if you look at the SEC during COVID, they did a pretty good job of, putting together the season, having protocols that everybody could follow, respecting the rules, and they were able to pull off an all-conference schedule. I kind of think that's the direction for the SEC, Big Ten, and Big 12. I think there's room for them, and I think the ACC will be, assimilated by all these teams, and definitely they're going to have to expand to pull it off. But I don't know, that's kind of the future that I see is likely. And I don't think it's a bad thing, even if people are dismayed. I think it's actually a good thing that they can each create their own leagues with their own set of rules, with regards to like salary cap, contracts, pay scale, transfer portal rules, eligibility rules. I actually think, having some stability in that sense, even if it's in the form of three conferences that sort of compete with each other as separate leagues, almost like a European model, where you have like the English league, French league, Spanish league. I kind of see it trending in that direction. But anyways, man, thanks for letting me talk, man. You have a good evening.
Beautiful phone call, sir. Thank you, Patreon. Call again now.
Yes, sir.
You got it. I agree with basically everything. I agree with basically everything Patron said. This is not, whatever happened in the last 3 years of college football is not going to hurt the valuations of the Southeastern Conference. And I would never make that remark. It just isn't. No. Nope. Just like a Florida State. Florida State's value has not been diminished because they went 2-10 and 5-7. It hasn't happened. A conference The Southeastern Conference is a money-making machine, and they are evaluating all these different ways of making more money, and they're going to continue to be mighty powerful. And the Big Ten as well. So yeah, I agree with that. Now, it's interesting because Patreon talked about COVID, conferences sort of going in their own silos and all that. I have an example of, it's interesting because the Big Ten Hockey Conference, which 99% of you don't pay attention to, but the Big Ten was in talks with North Dakota to be an affiliate member of the Big Ten. They had talks in 2017. They had talks in 2019. I reported on it. Pat Royce reported on it. It never got really serious to the point where they almost had it, where it happened. It never got to that point. But there were talks. One time, I don't remember which way it happened, but one time when they talked, North Dakota was more interested. The other time they talked, the Big Ten was more interested. And the reasons why they wanted to add North Dakota, there was talks going on, is because the University of North Dakota, an incredible brand hockey fan base. They load up that hockey arena, 11,000, 12,000 strong. They had to cut their women's hockey program a few years ago because of the economics, right? The smallest school. North Dakota, if they joined the Big Ten, would help ticket sales, viewership on the Big Ten network. They would help economically to the conference. But North Dakota is nowhere, and this is not a shot at University of North Dakota, but it is nowhere a Big Ten university, okay? The University of North Dakota. We're not talking North Dakota State, Bison. We're talking about University of North Dakota. But when COVID hit, and when the Big Ten universities decided how they were going to get through this hockey season, they had to go in their own silo because most of the universities they were talking to could not commit to the same type of testing, safety, all these issues when it comes to travel. So the Big Ten hockey went into its own silo and basically gave Arizona State men's hockey program a life raft and said, you want to come play with us in this season, but you're going to have to be on the road for all 28 games. Arizona State said yes, because no other real hockey program could satisfy Arizona State's safety protocols. So Arizona State hockey program played the Big Ten. All right, in that 1 year. After that COVID season, the Big Ten hockey program, that Big Ten hockey conference, the commissioner, the associate director, which I can't remember the guy's name, ended the talks with North Dakota and said, we cannot bring on an affiliate member that truly doesn't have the same resources that we do. We have to basically not do that. They've got Johns Hopkins for lacrosse, men and women's, and they've got Notre Dame's men's hockey program as their affiliate members. So the governance of your sport, that's just an example. I know it's apples and oranges, but the Southeastern Conference internally may be thinking, well, they're definitely thinking, we can't get our arms around this governance. Other schools, we don't trust them. We only can trust ourselves if we police ourselves, and this might force them to go in their own silo. I would caution everybody, though. I do not believe the Southeastern Conference. Like, I've seen a lot of comments say, okay, let the Southeastern Conference go. They can have a $30 million cap, and the rest of us will have no cap in our conferences. That ain't gonna happen. If the Big 12 is gonna have no cap, if the ACC is gonna have no cap, if the Big 10 is gonna have no cap, the Southeastern Conference is gonna have no cap. If that's the way we go, we're a long ways from there. But I just wanted to put that up. Yes, Eva Badger, we did talk about that earlier. Next Tuesday, the Big Ten schedule release, January 27th. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. If it wasn't for COVID, Illinois would have a hockey team right now. Boy, I think that is absolutely true. COVID snuffed out the possibility of Illinois having a hockey program. Absolutely. Shift in the balance of power. For now, as I've said here, there is no permanent victories in college football. There just isn't. There just isn't permanent victories in college football. It looked like there was in the Southeastern Conference on a 20-year roll that they were on. Incredible roll, but there just isn't any permanent victories. And I believe the Southeastern Conference is going to get off the mat. I also believe the Southeastern Conference, we've been talking about the Big 12, looking at this Ortoro capital, Redbird capital. We talked about the Big 10, right? I believe the Southeastern Conference, they're going to do something. They're not going to sit on their hands. They've got too much power. They've got too much value. They've got too much potential. The Southeastern Conference is not going to just go along to get along. Either they go in their own silo, and expand. They tell everybody to screw off and say, we'll go to whatever it is. The Southeastern Conference is too valuable, too powerful to remain like it is. And then you've got the Big 12. A lot of people talking about the Big 12 here. Skaven, yes. Go Big Red. 7th in the nation in basketball. Man, we are living in crazy times. Congratulations, Skaven. Yes. The Big 12. Look at the Big 12. You got Texas Tech, BYU, committed to spending that money to compete for a national championship, compete for a Big 12 championship. Texas Tech won the Big 12 championship. And you might have a few other Big 12 schools. You got Utah doing their private equity deal. You're probably going to find out there are going to be other schools. You've got schools doing internal deals within the university, getting a university loan, right? You've got West Virginia. They did some stuff to free up some money. Big 12 schedule live show tomorrow, Greg. I'll see what I can do. What time is that? What time does the Big 12 release their schedule? Does anybody know? So what's Greg's cheeseburger bet going to be for this 2026? 10 a.m. I don't know if I can do a 10 a.m. Central Time. 11 a.m. East. I don't know if it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I don't know if I can pull that off. Alrighty, guys, we're going to close this up. This was going to be a short 1 hour live show. The balance of power has shifted. If you just arrive and go back to the start and give it a watch, I want to thank John Teal, MBM, Ricky Tungate. Congratulations, Ricky Tungate, and the other Gygax for your donation to help us keep the lights on. Again, if you're new to the program or if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, share the video, smash the like button if you've liked our content today. I appreciate you all joining us. We are going to have a wild off season in college football. It began today. We've got Darren Mensah being sued by Duke. We're going to follow that story in the days and weeks ahead. It sounds like they have a February 2nd meeting, court date. It's going to be incredible. It's an incredible time to be a college football fan. So buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please y'all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.